Hey guys, what is up? Spiff here, and you liked the last one so much I decided to make a part 2 to my FPS guide Mythbusters series. If you haven't seen the first one, the link will be in the description down below. I highly suggest checking that one out. But for this one, I did mix it up a little bit with how I did my testings. The testing was still done on a fresh copy of the game with very low settings and on NA solo servers, just to keep it all the same. But this time what I did differently was I would land in Rozark by this little house and I would start Fraps benchmark for 60 seconds and I would run this same exact path every single time, and at the end of the path the benchmark would stop and tell me what my average frames per second were. This video did take a lot of effort, so if you like it, please hit like. It actually helps me out a lot. If you guys want to see a part 3, make sure to leave your suggestions in the comment section down below. So with a perfectly vanilla copy of the game, I was able to get 74 FPS. The first run that we're going to do is probably the most popular suggestion in the last video, and that is change my NVIDIA control panel settings. If you do not have an NVIDIA graphics card, you can do these same settings to your AMD graphics card. It's just going to have a different layout, and some of the settings might have different names, but it's pretty easy to figure out. All of my settings are going to be in the description down below, so feel free to just copy what I used. Now doing this, we did see an increase of about 10 frames per second, so that is pretty good. I'm going to say that this works. Moving right along, the next one was also a very popular suggestion, and that is moving from full screen windowed screen mode to just normal full screen. I did not think that this was going to make a big difference on the FPS, but I did it anyways just to make sure. Now because I was running in full screen, for some reason OBS didn't capture the fraps that was in the top left corner, but I could tell you because it still showed it to me while I was playing. I got around 82 FPS average, so we did still see a pretty good increase on the FPS in full screen mode. Next up was one I was actually really excited to see how much it would affect the game, and that is while the game is running, opening up Task Manager, going over to Details, scrolling down to tslgame.exe, right-clicking, CPU priority, and setting that to high. I did this for both the TSL Game and the TSL Game BE, which is basically the Battle Eye launcher, just to make sure that both were running at the highest priority on my CPU. And then I ran through the game, and sure enough, we saw another FPS gain of about 10 FPS. So that is really good. Definitely would recommend doing this. Next up, this suggestion I didn't see being super impactful, but I thought I'd give it a shot again. And that is the inventory screen character render, turning that off under the gameplay settings, so that when you open up your inventory, it doesn't have the 3D render of your character, it just has a 2D image. Apparently a lot of people said that this worked really well for them. I also went through and undid the Steam overlay because I kind of feel like these two things go hand in hand. And then I went through our testing, and this time we only saw an FPS gain of about 5. So it might be worth doing if you really need that extra FPS, if your PC is really struggling. But for the rest of us, I would say just leave both of these things alone unless you prefer to have it taken off. This next program isn't a free program, but it is definitely worth mentioning, and that is called CPU Cores. It's in the Steam Marketplace. The guy that created it was nice enough to send me a key so I can test it out and review it for you guys. I'll have a more in-depth review of this later on. I tried this program with a couple different settings, and I saw about the same results with each. The only one that saw a very negative result was when I clicked game on dedicated cores only. That's mainly going to be used for dual core processors. If you have a quad core even, it's going to decrease your performance. So I ran through our test the same way I did every single other one. And keep in mind, this is with no other adjustments made to the game. This is still on the fresh copy with just the program running. And I was able to see a very nice increase of over 15 FPS. So that is absolutely insane for just hitting a button on a program. This next one is another super popular suggestion from people, and that is virtual memory. I adjusted the virtual memory for the drive I have the games installed on, so everything had none except for the drive that my game is installed on, and then that had my recommended as my minimum. For my maximum, I did my recommended times 1.5. Doing this, we saw an average FPS increase of about 10 FPS, so it's just as good as almost everything else we tested today. So a lot of these suggestions were actually fantastic, and a lot of them did something. So I'm going to go through and combine all of these except for CPU core and all of the ones that did well in my last video, and see how many FPS I can get. So because of the settings that worked, that included full screen mode, which means fraps again did not get captured by OBS, but I can tell you I did it and I got 20 FPS increase. I went from 74 at the beginning to 95. So totally worth it. I went through to add in CPU cores to see if I could get over 100, and sadly adding CPU core on top of these other fixes did not get me any more FPS. But during my testing, I was not monitoring my CPU and my GPU usage, so I could have been hitting 100% on my GPU, which could have been holding me back. So if you have a 1060 with 6 gigabytes or a graphics card that's even better than that, this could still see even more performance increases. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It did take me a really long time to do because I had to keep jumping into spots and I had to keep restarting if it was a rainy map or if I got shot during it. And so this video took hours to make. So if you liked it, please leave a like. And if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. It really helps me out a lot and I do appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for all your suggestions in the previous video. If you have any more, please leave them down below and I'll be sure to test them. We do get the 1.0 patch tonight on the test servers, so I will be live streaming it on my Twitch. The link is going to be in the description down below. Make sure to check it out. Hit follow if you haven't. Thank you guys so much. This has been Spiff and I'm out. Peace.